but you did a variant cover for the first one. Another great chip design. I just wanted to show that off real quick because I think people really enjoy seeing it. Oh, sorry,
Son of a bitch.
wrong one. Welcome back to the West Coast Davengers, and I'm your host, Dave. Today I'm bringing you a piece of my interview with Chip Zdarsky, the current writer of Captain America and co-creator of Sex Criminals, having great runs on Daredevil and Batman and Howard the Duck, creator-owned projects like Public Domain and Newburn, and so many other great projects. He's one of my favorite comic writers in the last 20 years. So I had a chance to sit down with Chip to talk about his new run on Captain America, as well as his awesome free comic book news called Zdarsky Comic News, which is available in comic shops, and you can have your shop order. What this is about 17 minutes of me and Chip talking about his new Cap run, as well as some just talk about the comics industry altogether. But tomorrow, July 7th, I'm putting out my full-length interview with him. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. It'll be on my podcast, Direct Edition. You can find the YouTube channel links down below. It's available on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and like I said, YouTube. You can listen to it on my website, westcoastdavengers.com. You can find the places to subscribe. What I'm trying to do is to move all my interviews over there. So I hope you support that because it's really tough with YouTube and their algorithm. I do the digging in the comic videos here in the comic sales, and the algorithm traditionally just dunks the interviews so you don't really see them. So me and Chip talk about a wide range of things, like I said, from Zdarsky Comic News to Captain America to some funny stuff, as well as talking about just the comic industry at large. So without further ado, let's talk to Chip Zdarsky about how he's going to make Captain America great again. Hello, everybody. Today I have a returning guest, and I have to apologize. The last time he was here, my producer gave me a note calling him a sex criminal, and I had to fire Jerry. So I did hire a new producer. Thank you so much, Gary. But the note that he gave me is that my guest today, Chip Zdarsky, is going to make America great again, which I don't really agree with this, but
God.
Hold on. Gary! He's gonna make Captain America great again. That's what this is all about.
First of all, how can you make the greatest country in the world great again? It's already the greatest. Huge flaw in that plan.
Well, I mean, I guess if anybody's going to make America great again, it's Canada, but we're talking about Captain America. So getting into making Captain America great again. So you are taking on the mantle of Captain America, which is pretty interesting because you just, a year away from Avengers Twilight, which was a fantastic story, and you got the final Cap story, but we're going back to the beginning. So the art's done by Valerio, is it Schiti?
Your guess is as good as mine. I keep saying Schiti, but I might be mispronouncing it. I mean, I worked with Marco for years on Daredevil. I couldn't tell you how to pronounce his last name.
Cicchetto?
Cicchetto or Cacchetto? I don't know.
Cacchetto and Schiti. I think.
I know. I kind of went into the hard K sound.
Yeah.
I'm like Marco Cacchetto, Valerio Schiti, but I don't know.
Was Cap on your list of books that you've wanted to write for a long time?
Yeah, when CB Cebulski came on board at Marvel, I think he messaged every kind of writer that was like on contract with Marvel at the time, just to get their top 3 list. Like if these titles became available, this is what you'd want. And I gave him my 3 titles. One was Daredevil, and the other was Captain America. And then the third one I won't say because I haven't done it yet.
Right.
So yeah, those are I had a top 3 and Cap was on it. So yeah, it's definitely a thrill.
And it's been a while because I went back and listened to our last interview, and you had dropped a little hint. You were rereading the Mark Gruenwald Cap run, doing research, and at the time I had no clue. I just didn't think about what you said, but and I know you're a big fan of his writing in that run. Is it something that you really leaned on for your run to try and just do your own story, but kind of Grunwald it?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely my touchstone because it's the comic that I grew up with, the run I grew up with. I noped out a little bit when Cap Wolf happened, but a part of just me kind of moving on to other things. I came back in pretty full force with the Brubaker run, and then
Right.
Wade and Samney, or Wade and Garney, I mean. Yeah. But the Grunwald one, like, really hit me hard. Like, just that kind of questioning hero. Cap kind of on the road, growing a beard, like just being like, "I'm not Captain America. Who am I?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I really, really dug that stuff, and I thought the John Walker stuff was amazing.
Sure.
One of my favorite parts about rereading, and I probably mentioned it last time, was just the letters pages.
Yep, you did mention that.
Yeah, just vicious.
I mean, it's something that I typically look at too in old books, is the letters column.
Yeah, it's a real insight into like what stands the test of time too, because like that John Walker story is like they made a whole TV show out of it, and people look back and go, oh, that's like in the top 3 or 4 kind of best Cap storylines, and at the time it was like 95% hatred. Like, you just can't, you can't kowtow to the reader's demands in the moment because they just don't see the full story.
Plus everything in the lens of, I mean, nostalgia is one thing, but just looking back at something that you've taken a big amount of time away from, and you look at it with adult eyes, and you're like, oh, this is better. I mean, he's an interesting character, and I think, they did a good job with him in the show and stuff. But it's a lot of things that we look back at that, even if you loved, your view is different. And you might be stronger. Your love might be stronger. You might be like, I don't know why I really like that. But
I definitely revisit stuff, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like,
so I know that we're not going to talk spoilers on Cap. It comes out. It's already out. First issue's out as this comes out. But I know it's a story of like right when he comes out of the ice, and there's doom. Is that what I've heard you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the solicits and stuff, so I stopped kind of dancing around it. But it's about their first encounter with him out of the ice, because my kind of idea was that when Steve Rogers went in the ice and then woke up, no time had passed. Like, he basically fell asleep and then woke up. So he's still a soldier. Like, he was a soldier 2 hours ago. He's still a soldier. So he goes back to base. He goes back to the U.S. Army before he joins the Avengers. And the Army has a mission for him. And it's this new upstart dictator in Latveria named Victor Von Doom. And so that becomes his first mission. So it's like, he went to sleep fighting Hitler, and now there's this seemingly new Hitler on the scene, a guy in Europe who has been doing some nasty things and have been popping over to America to beat up the Fantastic Four. Maybe it's time to take him out.
It's a good way to approach it. I mean, like, when you think about it, you're not retelling anything. You're just telling something in between the lines, stuff that, and then I know going forward, I assume it's going to be set in present time, but we'll wait until that actually comes out to find out.
Yeah, I mean, I can say for certain that, like, the first arc is set in this period, and the second arc is set in modern day.
Okay.
But they connect, so it's not like this is just a one-off story and then we do a modern story. Like, it's
right.
This leads into that. So yeah,
cool. And so we talked about Valerio as the artist, but you did a variant cover for the first one, another great chip design. I just wanted to show that off real quick because I think people really enjoy seeing it. Oh, sorry, wrong one. That's the one. There
you go. Those same proportions. If you turn to the side,
if you turn to the side, he's got this going on. But are you going to be doing, just going forward, are you doing covers for each issue?
I did covers for the first 5.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Sweet.
I really wanted to kind of like, take my stab at it. And so, the first 5, we haven't talked about doing anything beyond that. I might, but I feel very satisfied with the ones that I did. The issue 4 cover should be coming out soon, and it's one of my favorites.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know we talked last time about your obviously being design oriented, but also like your itch to do something to satisfy that.
Hmm.
I did
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to
it's fun.
I wanted to mention and then also ask lead into this. So you're the first Canadian to write Cap.
Hmm.
Only the third non-American. I know it was Gibbons, or no, Gibbons didn't write it. Gibbons drew
Gibbons
it, and
did. Gibbons wrote
oh, he
it.
did.
Yeah, he
And
wrote a
then
couple of issues.
and who was the other one? It was I mean, I can't remember who the other one is.
I
It's
did a
another
graphic
Brit.
on it in the upcoming.
Yes, I know you did, and that's where I'm reading it
Oh,
off of.
yeah,
But
yeah. Even I've forgotten. Paul Jenkins?
James
Is that it?
Robinson,
James Robinson. That's it. Yeah.
James Robinson. But given the current times that we're living in,
Oh,
and
is
I'm
something
not,
happening?
yeah, exactly. And you being a neighbor to the north, do
Hmm.
you think there's any? Do you think you're bringing a perspective that might be viewed as, not what am I looking to say? Do you think your perspective is going to bring a unique take to Cap, being a Canadian, being 2025, going through all the things, or you think you're just writing a great Cap story?
I mean, yeah, I think no matter where you're coming from, you have a unique perspective. Like if I was American, but I grew up in the South, it'd be different than if I grew up in California or New York City or somewhere like that.
Hmm.
Um, like I consumed so much kind of American culture living across the border,
Right.
growing up, and like again, like a fan of the Captain America comic as a Canadian. Um, yeah, I definitely have like kind of big grand ideas about what America stands for, and kind of getting to tackle that in this has been a lot of fun. But also, I've been doing a lot of research too, like because even though I took in a lot of American culture, it wasn't necessarily taught to me in school.
Sure.
So, been reading some kind of nonfiction books about America and
Hmm.
various things they got up to over the past few hundred years,
Yeah,
a
various
couple hundred
things.
years here and there. Yeah, yeah. So I've been kind of learning as I've been going and preparing for this. And yeah, yeah. It is obviously a weird time to be writing Captain America. I think
Yeah,
there was a comic writer who was just like, he's like, it makes sense you're doing it. Like right now, I don't know if an American can write this,
sure.
like because it's just so
Like,
kind of fractured right now, and
yeah,
everyone would be,
volatile.
yeah, maybe kind of shell shocked to write the character.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I see it as an opportunity, and it's been a lot of fun so far. Yeah.
What I love to remind people, and my audience is very much on the same level as me. They see me wearing a shirt like
Yeah, yeah,
this, and they're happy to see that.
yeah.
One of the things that I love about Cap, it truly he was created as a propaganda tool, but in the good sense. Like it was one of those rare instances where propaganda was used to give World War II, American soldiers of World War II, something to hope for.
Mhm.
Um, and I hope that we all keep that in mind. It's one of the things that I really do harp upon is comics comes from a place of people that were escaping persecution, fighting in wars, all of the above, and I don't assume that you're going to do that, but it's just something that I always kind of, we have to keep reminding ourselves about that Cap was used in this way in
Yeah.
the darkest time in the last 150 years of history.
Yeah, it's interesting to write him with the sliding timeline of it
Hmm.
all,
Yeah.
because there's a difference because like when he woke up in the Avengers issue 4, like what 15 years had passed.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, like not a lot of time, and he's still
No.
like a man out of time. But it's a different feeling to wake up 15 years later and find out Bucky died, in that moment, where Bucky could be alive then. He could be
Right.
a father with some kids, with a wife in the suburbs, living that kind of 1950s, 1960s dream.
Hmm.
Um, but to wake up in like 2010 or whatever, like everyone he knows is dead. Like it's just
Yeah.
like a totally different place to wake up, and a totally different kind of feeling, and a lot more sci-fi kind of aspect to it. Um, so that's been interesting. Just like kind of thinking about that, setting
Right.
the first story in that period is like very different than setting it in 1964 3 or 4 or whatever, setting in again like 2010 or something. Yeah, that's been wild.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, including myself, are really looking forward to it. What do you feel about the comic industry right now? What do you feel about overall? Like, are you feeling good about it? Are you feeling a little cautious about it with Diamond and all this stuff happening with the distribution shakeup?
Um, I don't know if I even have enough knowledge to answer that. Like, I got caught up in the Diamond thing because ZCN was distributed through them as well. So,
Right.
I am owed some money. Um, I mean, the one thing about comics is it always seems to find a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people were always scared about Diamond going under, but
Sure.
like, it's happened, and comics are still going into shops every week. There's obviously obstacles like printing costs going up, and tariffs, and fractured distribution. So it's harder. It is getting harder and harder to make money on comics. Like, I've
Right.
definitely seen that. I've seen creators like doing image books where it's just like the numbers they're selling are pulling in less dollars versus the numbers they were selling, which is the same, pulling
Mm-hmm.
in more money a few years ago. That's a little scary because there's definitely a tipping point where it's like, oh, no one can make a living at this.
Yeah.
We'll be putting it out because we have the passion to put these books out, but like, once it hits a point where you can't put out a creator-owned book that's relatively successful and make a living at it, like that's going to be rough. And I think we're moving towards that right now, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll see. Like, I'm happy Distillery's publishing this book. I hope it
Mm-hmm.
does well. But yeah, it definitely, a lot of the stuff I'm seeing, a lot of the stuff I'm hearing is giving me pause. Doing kind of big creator-owned pushes right now. Like, I've got a lot going on at Marvel. I'm always
Sure.
in talks with DC and other companies too, so I'm still producing. But it's harder to justify doing the creator-owned stuff because I don't want to do it and not pay an artist a living wage if I'm writing a thing.
Yeah.
So what that usually means is I go into debt. Like, I'm in debt on a bunch of projects because I
Mm.
want to make sure that everyone gets paid well. Um,
Yeah.
and they're not taking that kind of risk because I know what it's like for an artist to take a risk. It's different than a writer because a writer can write a bunch of other stuff, but an artist, they're just focusing on one thing. So you can't be like, oh,
Right.
hey, we're splitting this, 50-50. If it works, it works. Um, you can't do that, I don't think, especially not right now, which
Especially.
means I have to justify it every time I do a creator on. I'm like, okay, this will make me negative $20,000.
Yikes.
So unless I sell the rights to Netflix or something like that, which can happen, um, I'm in the hole. And I can afford to take the risk because Marvel pays me well to do the stuff I'm doing there, and my back catalog pays me well
Right.
across all the publishers, including Image. Um, but yeah, there's a calculus there as to whether or not you can take on a new project.
I did want to plug this. You're gonna be at Golden Age Collectibles.
Yes,
Is it next week or is it the week after? The
I
12th?
think it's the week after the 12th. Yeah,
Great
uh,
shop up in Vancouver.
yeah, yeah. I've signed there before. It's fantastic. I just found myself in Vancouver that day. I'm just like, well, why don't I do a signing? So yeah, I'm doing it. So yeah, come on out, Golden
Yeah,
Age. Woo.
yeah, one hell of a shop. Can you talk about your cameo in Fantastic Four? I want to say thanks again to Chip for his time. We're going to try and do this every year. I think that's a fun idea. If you are local to the Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia, that is, area, he's going to be doing a signing at Golden Age Collectibles in downtown Vancouver on July 12th. So go take a visit to him, tell him I said hi, and get some stuff signed by one of the most lovable men in comics. I want to say thanks again for you, my viewer, for watching. If you're watching this on July 6th, immediately tomorrow morning, the entire interview is going to be up on Direct Edition. You can find that here on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, or my website, westcoastdavengers.com. And listen to that and, drop comment down below. But support Chip. And everything that we said today, obviously the jokes are the jokes, but I really do absolutely love Chip's writing and the books that he's been a part of and his art that he does for the books that he draws, like Public Domain. Thank you so much for being here. Hit the like button and all that good stuff. But I'll see you next week on the West Coast Avengers, making comics great again. They were always great, actually.
I don't like any of what you said.